Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special live stream. League 6 is launching in just under a week on April 15th. So today we're going to chat about all things demonic with some very, very special guests, as you can see. I am your host, Mod Sani, and I'm joined by the wonderful Mod Husky. Let's start off with you. How you doing, homie?
Yeah, I'm really good. This is such an ecstatic time when it's always leagues. It's so hype. I feel guilty sometimes. I spend time just looking at the league's Discord and answering questions, but then, what else is there to do outside of any extra play testing or bug fixing as things come up? So it's been really good.
Agreed. It's been a very fun time, I think, for the whole team working on this. And as probably a lot of you can tell, there's a lot of things we've been working on this league. So very exciting indeed. And not only am I joined by the wonderful Husky, but I've got three fantastic guests to help us theory craft and chat about everything upcoming with the upcoming league. So please say a warm welcome to Faux, Scritic, and DoubleShine. How are you guys doing? We'll start with you, Faux. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, I think people can tell when I talk about this stuff on stream and in my videos, but I'm just overly hyped about the league, and this one's so different. So there's so much to consider. There's so much planning, and that's what I love. Actually, I think I like this part about it more than actually playing it, myself. So yeah, I'm just pumped.
If it wasn't enough to tell that you thoroughly enjoyed the leagues, you actually trying to solve all the puzzles for 4 or 5 hours straight.
4 hours, and I needed hints constantly. They were so hard. Yeah, good job on that. I hate you.
Thank you. Scritic, how you doing, mate?
Yo, I'm doing good. I am honestly so hyped. I've been looking forward to this, and I can't wait for this league. The build-up so far has been crazy. The response from the community's been crazy. Yeah, man, I'm just really, really excited that we're less than a week away now, right?
Indeed, which is super exciting. It feels weird saying that it's a week away. I feel like I've been league brained for the last 4 to 6 months, so now it's round the corner. It's insane. And DoubleShine, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. So excited that we have all the demonic pacts out. I think I woke up 12 hours ago. I was so worried because I thought that I had overslept this. Turns out I got my AM and PMs mixed, and then I just spent all night just looking at the board. Probably redid my plan 6 or 7 times. So yeah, I'm pretty much stuck on where I actually want to go with it today. So it'll be fun.
At least you guys get paid to do it, right? All the chatters and people in the league's Discord have probably been skipping work and just being I need to figure out some more builds.
You don't understand, man. Streaming is the hardest job in the world. I mean, we have to sit here all day and play video games.
Yeah, I don't envy you in the slightest, guys. Not at all. But yes, how are you all feeling about the league? I suppose we'll start with that. Scritic, what's been your overall take on what we've put out so far?
I mean, it's been incredible. All of the kind of theory crafting when these relics come out bit by bit has been good. I think I got jump scared on Tuesday when you guys put out the Twitter post, which kind of exposed me in front of the entire chat, which was great. But until then, I was having a great time. Okay, I was having a great time going along with it, and now I'm just excited that a lot more information is going to be out there for everyone.
I'm surprised there's no snakes in chat already. Honestly, I was expecting at least a couple to come in from your side, but nothing yet. I'm seeing a couple turtles though, which is good. DoubleShine, how are you feeling about the league?
Yeah, I think Tuesday was probably the most exciting day we've ever had in any kind of league's history. Honestly, I think the only thing that I've ever felt the same way was back in Leagues 2 when we first got the combat styles announced, and seeing how far we've come since then is just so crazy to me. Over 100 nodes, that's just it's hard to even look at because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger when we were revealing it. It was just so ridiculous.
It was really fun seeing all the people every time the sort of collection of puzzles were complete, just be there's more, and it was that on repeat for 2 hours while you guys were solving it, which was really, really fun to watch. Faux, for someone as deep in the leagues pie as you are, how are you doing?
I'm overwhelmed, man, and I think that's kind of obvious, and that's where a lot of people are right now because something with this kind of skill tree is just not something Old School RuneScape has ever seen. I played WoW for a very long time, so I'm familiar with the skill trees, but not to this extent. I'm not really a PoE player, and there's just so much in a league, typically, you know your direction. You know what I mean? You figure things out pretty quickly. You know what you're going to do with combat. You know how strong you're going to be. There's so many question marks in this league. People don't really know what the end's going to look like. And I think that's what makes leagues exciting when there's not like the meta solved. It makes it very exciting. There's going to be a lot of different routes this time. There's going to be a lot of different, builds. And then don't get me started on the relics. Every single time you guys release something new, I change my strategy, change my route. It's frustrating. So I'm frustrated. I'm excited, but I'm frustrated.
Good. Honestly, that's the best way I like seeing you. When we do this pre-reveal season, it's like every day should make you be like, is my path right? I'm not quite sure. Maybe that'll happen today as well. Who knows? Husky, as someone who's been working on the leagues, how are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of options in this league, way more than before. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of this later on, but I think the relics have gone down super well. There was a lot of people saying, even when the tier 1s announced, that like, they're catering for different play styles and players, and they're like kind of different strengths, but it's also a really hard choice. And then, I mean, God forbid what Reloaded is up against, because I feel like a lot of the tiers feel like overloaded as far as like, really wanting to pick out like all of the tier 5s, like Transmutation and Butler's Bell both look good. And then people are like, oh, do I reload to pick up like Forager as a solve, or like Endless Harvest if I missed it? And there's so many things that I think people want to reload. So
did I hear you say reloaded and overloaded in the same sentence?
I did say that, but I meant it like, reloaded. Like there's a lot of things you might want to reload into.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we've got some amazing stuff lined up for you today. Before we slip out any more spoilers potentially, we do have a jam-packed, pun intended, live stream for you today, covering all the major points of the Demonic Pact leagues. But before we jump into that, as always, let's go through the announcements. So, leagues, League 6 Demonic Pact launches on April 15th. Get yourself prepared for all the latest information in our jam-packed news post. Pacts. The Demonic Pacts have been unveiled. Find out how to harness the power Yama has kindly granted to you. There's so much possibility. So you can do that at the Pacts. Wiki. Needing a helping hand planning which pacts you're taking? We've worked with the fantastic OSRS Wiki to bring you an interactive version of the system to try out just before we go live, they've done a fantastic job on it, honestly. Brazil, you might have seen, we launched 4 new Brazilian game worlds today, which is pretty dope, and more coming with leagues. So, you can get improved ping for many South American players, which equal quicker prayer flicks and faster gear switching. So check that out there. It's a really nice blog, actually, and it's technically loaded. So if you like that kind of stuff, it should be right up your alley. And finally, Mobile. Mobile character switcher is here. So chop and change between whichever character you've linked to your Jagex account, all from your mobile screen. It's been a packed week, honestly, even outside of leagues. There's stuff popping off. So it's pretty good. But with all that out the way, I think we should just jump into the rest of the stream. And I think it's apt we start off with the current roster of relics to just take a look. Which was some of the first things I think we revealed out of this league outside of like core general information. And it's always one of the most hotly debated conversations amongst all leagues players. So I think we should just go through all the tiers, find out what our guests are picking, what they don't like, what they do like, synergies and everything. So first up, let's take a look at the tier 1 relics and take a look at Endless Harvest, which for those of you who don't know, I'll just do a quick run through. This is great. You just endlessly gather from fishing spots, trees, and mining rocks, even if they deplete, which is kind of cracked, honestly. And those resources are multiplied by 2. And you get a little bit of extra XP for doing that, which is great. And you can send them to the bank if you want. There's a little toggleable option on there. So what's people's thoughts about Endless Harvest?
I'm going to jump in on this one. I think I have to take this one. First off, let me say the tier 1s suck, and I only say that because this is like the hardest I've ever like had to choose between three relics. Like the tier is so close that everything can play, so it sucks. So thank you for making it difficult. But this is like, one, it's an insane relic. It's very good. with how strong it is, but it's also like the lifestyle relic, right? Like I think I learned recently that the average RuneScaper is 33 years old. We have responsibilities, you know what I mean? And this is the I have responsibilities relic. So if you want to, you know, cook dinner, take a shower, go to work, go to sleep, whatever you want to do, you got 30 minutes of AFK time on 3 different skills that, you know, leads into other skills as well if you choose later relics. It's an amazing relic. So this is my pick.
Yeah, I think the caveat to that players will point out as well is those 3 skills are already pretty AFK or have good AFK methods. Like, you can still star mine, you can still, like, if you know, if that's a thing, it's not going to be as fast. I think the thing that's super underrated of Endless Harvest is just how much it competes on the XP per hour front, though. Like, in all honesty, in hindsight, this doesn't need the 2x multiplier of XP to be as good and as picked as it is. But it's just cracked, and obviously we've kept it in because it's good to make the tier 1 strong and to feel that impact immediately.
One of the things I love is the fact that, like, you know, a lot of people, they do get overwhelmed with like how many different tasks there are, right? Like that first hour. So you can just pick this relic, like go hit an iron rock, and you get 30 minutes to go read, go plan, do whatever you need. Like, you can take
Watch
as
what
much
other
time
people
as you
do.
want.
Yeah, exactly. I think the chat said the best. It's like the dad relic. You know, it's the perfect dad relic, and as a dad, it is right up there. So yeah, I'm right with you. All right, let's check out Barbarian Gathering then. This just become a barbarian everywhere. Punch trees, punch rocks, grab fish with your bare hands, and live your full barbarian life. You know, it's a great relic. I think a lot of people that just want good vibes, running around punching trees, which I'm really excited to see 2,000 players. Hopefully, at least half of them running around punching trees through Baltimore, which is going to be great. And you get a bit of strength and agility XP while you're at it, which is lovely. So, what's people's thoughts on this?
Can I jump in just because I think I've been a Barb stan since day one, and I'm gonna die on that hill, even though in the back of my mind, abundance is there, just like poking me, just saying like, hey. However, Barbarian Gathering, I mean, what's more fun than cutting trees? I mean, punching them first of all. But then, like, when you get bored of that, you go, you know, punch some fishing spots, and then you go punch some rocks. So you know, it's just generally, I think this is the fun relic of the 3, and I can't wait to see people because the animation is really good as well. And like, being serious about it for a minute, you know, you're not going to feel bad when other people are out there doing combat, and you're getting passive combat and agility XP whilst doing your skilling. So I think it has like a little bit of everything, and the knapsack is a nice bonus. I'm glad that was thrown in there because you see all these endless harvesters sat there for half an hour and you have to go bank every 5 minutes. That just feels bad. So that's a really nice addition as well. I really like this relic personally.
Yeah, it's also a relic that just plays extremely well if you have certain zones, right? Like Zaya, you get redwoods, and the experience is like so far past anything else that you can get if you have redwoods and barb because of the success rate. If you have Asgarnia and you have Amethyst, unreal mining experience. So those 2 zones specifically, you should consider this. And then also, if you're an active player and you're going to like point cap, if you go 200 mil in, say, woodcutting with redwoods, and then you go 50 mil mining and 50 mil fishing, that's what, 30 million agility and strength experience that you don't have to go train yourself, and you haven't even stepped foot on a rooftop course. Like, it can be kind of unreal.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pros to this as well. Even just on the day one, I can see these people who, like, people want to AFK. They might start the league and I'm going to finish work and I'll get to this in the evening. And do you AFK the gem crab? You're just going to punch the gem crab? Or are you going to do your skilling and take advantage of your tier 1? And Barbarian Gathering kind of just says, do your gathering. We're going to give you, like, a ton of strength XP just to start you off and get you down that route. Obviously, better if you're picking melee-focused builds early. And I also just think the fantasy, that kind of all the echo tools cave last league being alive with this, where it's almost always better, I believe, to just go to the highest tier thing. You unlock Maples, you go to Maples. You unlock Use, you go to Use, right? That's just always an actually better XP per hour training method than the one before because of the fail rates change at the bottom. And I think that's just a cool fantasy that everybody kind of wishes. Like, that's how it played out as a kid, right? Like, I got Use, I'm going to go to the better tree and stuff. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff there.
I think what Faux said earlier about rodents, I really wonder if Barbarian Gathering is going to be enough to actually take down a full redwood tree. I want to see that. I want to see that bad boy fall. That's what I want. All right. Finally on the list, there is Abundance, which is like pitches into equilibrium a bit from previous leagues, which is nice, which gives all non-combat skills a permanent boost of 10. And every time you receive an XP drop, you gain an additional 2 XP in the same skill, which is affected by the league's passive modifier, which is great. And to top it off, for every XP point you get 2 times as many coins, which means you're stacking up coins and XP, which is bloody great in my opinion. So, yeah, how's everyone feeling about that?
I'm a complete abundance enjoyer. I think this relic is so cool. Like, yes, I will admit that I got a little bit baited by the equilibrium experience. That's probably not that much. However, the other effects of this are just so ridiculously good that plus 10 to all your skills. I mean, you're getting so many tasks done earlier. Like, if you think about how much time you're saving going from like level 80 to level 90, that is a crazy amount. And I know that for me, I can't wait to do like a Hellhound task at 81 and do Cerberus at 81 Slayer with this. Like, that's a really cool effect. Not to mention free gold all the time, like right at level, like right when you just start off. That's just, I don't know. This one is just so universally good. And with how big Varlamore is, with how much stuff there is to do there, I just feel like this relic is so sick.
Yeah, just to nerd out a little bit, I think this is, you need 37% of the experience that someone that doesn't have this has to get. So like if you're trying to do something that's level 90, like say you're trying to, I don't know, make a super combat pot. 90 is like 5.4 million experience. You could do it at 80, which is 2 million experience. So you just, every single task that is level gated, you get to way sooner than anyone else. The problem is like late in the league, it falls off. So this is like the I'm rushing dragon tier. I probably want to consider this one. Also, if you look at the next 2 relics, which we'll get into, it has major synergy with Woodsman because you can fletch broad arrows like insanely quick 200 mil XP. Like halfway through the first day, you'll have 200 mil XP. You make 400 mil GP off of that. You can continue doing that at past 200 mil for more GP. Like, it's kind of unreal.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool things with this relic. I think the thing you pointed out with the 37% less XP, people are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because it drops off at 89. Like, I'll grind and get the skills anyway. But I think a lot of people, when they just think about what's my final build and how strong am I at the end, yeah, Abundance maybe looks less good. But getting there so much faster, it compounds. Those, like, if you've played a league before, you know how big those hard and elite tasks are. And, you know, you might need, like, say, another 3,000 points to get to the next relic, and just going, ooh, I can go hard. That's another 700 points. I can get elite early. That's 200. It adds, and then you get to that tier. You get the XP boost. You get a new relic. It compounds, and the snowball builds.
Yeah, big snowball build.
The other thing that's like super overlooked is people are saying, oh, it's only good if you're a dragon rusher. I think this is also really good for people who just want to get straight in, get packets, play with some fun powers, and then they kind of dip. You know, I know there's a lot of people who kind of get to that like tier 8 relic. They're not getting to 65k. They maybe get like 20k to 30k points. They have fun, and then they're out. This is like a phenomenal relic for those people. Like, who cares if, you know, you could have AFK'd like another 50 mil gathering or something, you know? So I think like there's a lot of people who could see a lot of value in Abundance. And I also just think like the coins are like slept on a little bit. Like, people are, oh, well, it's not Golden God. The amount of times when I was doing my playthroughs with Abundance and I'm like, I have just way more gold than I thought I was going to have, even like in early game. Like, just the ability to buy whatever you want from a shop whenever you want in the early game. And there's tasks for equipping stuff. So that's like a thing. You can start magic like instantly because you just can afford the runes, you know? Like, there's so many things that this enables.
I think alching nature runes actually profits you like pretty fast, which is kind of silly.
I love League's tech so much, man. So much. Awesome. All right, thank you guys. Let's go into tier 2. I'll go through all the relics and then we can just have an open conversation. I feel like that might be a bit better. So first up, we've got Hot Foot. So you get the Searing Boots, which while you're wearing them, agility experience is gained based on your agility level while you run. You caught fish are automatically cooked and Mind Ore is automatically smelted. But regardless of what footwear you're using, which means you can run a little fashion skate, picking up any termites or marks of grace from a course will automatically complete the lap for you and give you 10k, which is pretty dope, honestly. It's a pretty cool effect. There's some other smaller effects there with like 100% success rate on all actions for agility and cooking, and extra bonuses for like specific courses like worm agility and Prifdinous agility course, which is pretty good. Next up, we have Friendly Forager, which is a mostly returning relic where you get this handy little pouch. And when you're doing stuff like woodcutting, fishing, mining, the pouch will find a herb and store it randomly, which is great. And you just stack up herbs this way. I remember picking this last league and it was cracked. It was so good, just gathering herbs every day. But this time, I believe the herb stack works differently, and it's a much better. It works kind of, Husky, forgive me if I'm wrong, like the new upgraded herb stack does.
Yeah, it's essentially a silk-lined herb stack, so it'll go up to 100 in each herb, which makes it harder to like get fill up if you want to target farm, but it means when you are target farming, you can go for longer. Because I know like even getting to 30, like you'd have to empty often and do that. Going to 100 is overall just going to be quite a big quality of life. So yeah, like the amount, like, I mean, how many herbs is that? Like there's like 10, 11, 12 herbs or something or in that ballpark. So you're getting 100 of each of those. That's like huge AFK before you need to go empty.
It's a lot of herbs. There's a lot of herbs. Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly, it's pretty good. And then finally, Woodsman is there where all items are processed at once while you're fletching, which is really cool. And then chopped logs are automatically burnt, granting full fire making XP, which is great. And then you get a bunch of hunter benefits as well, like 100% on all actions. Traps attracts animals faster, and traps always drop a random herb seed or tree seed when harvested, which is pretty cool. There's some other little effects there, but that's the main core. What are you guys picking? Where's your head at the moment?
It's so difficult, man. I feel like I have ping-ponged between Hotfoot and Woodsman more than anyone. I was like, Hotfoot day one, this is the best tier 2 relic. And then Woodsman comes out, people start talking, you know, I'm dipping into Faux stream, into DoubleStream, and I'm thinking, oh, that Abundance Woodsman effect is, yeah, that is interesting. I have to say, it's going to depend a little bit on the day. I think I'm just going to panic pick Woodsman or Hotfoot, to be honest with you. They're both incredible. I think I'm going to panic pick. And one thing before I pass on to someone else, I think that although one of the other guys will expand on this, all of these tier 2 relics in some way or form synergize really well with the tier 1 relics. So it's almost difficult to make a bad decision here, to be honest with you. But I'd love to hear what the other guys think here. If you guys have locked down a relic, maybe you can convince me.
Yeah, I was there 2006 when Hunter got released with 200 people trying to catch one bird, okay? I am not going back to that. Never again. Woodsman is just so great because if you have this relic and somebody else doesn't have this relic, that bird is probably going to your trap and you're catching it. And then you can move on to the higher hunter creatures while they're stuck over there. So I don't want to deal with that. I'm picking Woodsman. We got Red Chinchampas added now as well. And those are like just unbelievable. Like you get like crazy fast experience. Like I think you're getting like 10 mil experience per hour or something catching chins. Like it's pretty ridiculous. And not to mention, I mean, the random seeds, like it kind of does seem like farming is actually possible now that we have an allotment patch, which we didn't have one in Lumbridge. So even those random whatever seeds, you can at least start planting them, start getting some experience, get those tasks done.
This is it's a difficult tier because like they're all really good. I think Hotfoot and Woodsman are going to be the most common choices by far. But what I think this tier is, rather than which one you like the most, is the zone solve tier. This tier is the answer to your zone holes, your zone gaps, right? If you don't have a smithing solve because you're not taking like, you know, Giant's Foundry and Desert or Tehran Wind Thieving, you might want to have Hotfoot so you have an easy smithing option, because otherwise smithing's going to go slow because you'll have a lot of ore income with some different things, but you won't have the bar income. If you go with Woodsman, you know, you have insane farming seeds, you have insane hunter experience, but you kind of miss out on some of the other skills that you might have gaps in. And Friendly Forager is still going to be chosen by people that have 0 herb lore solve. That's going to be a problem for some people. So like, I think this is the one that you figure out your zones and then you figure out which one you're going to choose. And I don't even know what that is. I like Woodsman the most. Woodsman looks cracked. There's 3,000 points in like 99 Hunter that you can get so easily without having any zones. And then you also, on top of it, you get like the first 95 tasks, first 90 tasks, first 80 tasks, like all of that stuff. And you can push that insanely quick at the 8x XP rate, which is what, tier 2? because you technically get 16x in Hunter. So like there's some insane builds with Woodsman. There's some insane synergy with like Enhanced Harvest with Hotfoot. And I really think even though those are so good, I might be forced to take Friendly Forager because my zones might not have an Herblore solve, which bugs me, but you know, we have Reloaded later.
Yeah, I think they're just like so different, and you're completely right. It depends on areas, depends on other picks. I think that like Endless Harvest and Hotfoot one is like, that's like a match made in heaven for most people. But like you're missing 2 herb solves, right? You're missing all the herbs, you're missing all the seeds from Hunter. So you're suddenly looking and going, well, do I really need that Nature's Accord, right? Because I probably want a herb solve. If you've ever done Iron Man, like with like natty herb, like it's not a very pleasant time if you want good potions for content. So then you're thinking like, okay, well, how much do I want Soul Harvest then, right? Or how much do I want Larcenist in that tier? And then like, okay, well, I'll just pick one of those and reload, but what's reload up against, right? So that's kind of the way I think this choice sort of builds out. I also think there's a little bit of anti-synergy with Barb Gathering and Hotfoot, where especially if you're doing like punching Amethyst, like you're just not, like the big selling point I feel of Hotfoot is the smithing XP. That's the thing people want. You're punching Amethyst, you're not getting smithing XP, right? So you might want to consider other options then, or you just want to start punching Rune Ore. But that's only an option. That's only a thing for Asgarnia pickers, right? So, you know, that's the decision people are having to make.
Yeah, but on that note, I've also heard a lot of people talking about like AFKing gem rocks for their mining, and they're not considering that they're not going to have that smithing variant from Hotfoot if they're AFKing gem rocks for better mining XP than Iron Ore. So like that's why it's the answer to whatever gaps are in your zones. Like you might want to take Woodsman in that case because your mining method's not going to be Iron Ore.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of nuance in this pick, but I do think like for a lot of people, yeah, you're not going to go wrong with Endless Harvest and Hotfoot, and I think the others are going to be very strong depending on what people are building around.
Yes, I agree. I think Faux summed it up himself. Like this is going to be the on the fly pick. I feel like is the best way to describe it, considering where you're going, which is cool. Talking about where you're going, maybe we should talk about tier 3 and transport relics, which is pretty cool. We've only got 2 at the moment, so we're still waiting on that last one. But we'll go through. Evil Eye is pretty cool. Basically, allows you to teleport to the entrance of any boss or raid in the combat achievements list, which is pretty cool. For those Barrows lovers out there, you'll have the option to go to the chest or to the surface, and you can teleport to each of the Moon of Perils individually, which is really cool. And then the other one we have is the map of, I can never say this word, so I'm just going to call it the map. But this allows you to teleport to any agility shortcut as long as you have unlocked it. Doesn't mean you need to actually use it, but as long as it's not locked behind a quest, etc., you can teleport there. They still meet all the requirements, but you can at least teleport to places like Doom, which is really cool, and some other places that will be just sort of like more interesting. This is the, I would say, the most new unique one, Husky, if I'm right.
Yeah, this was a fun one. I think we've looked at previous sort of global teleport relics, and I think a lot of the time they haven't been picked because there's just an OP factor to them. You know, like Clue Compass, okay, no one's picking other stuff because Clue Compass is just broken, right? So there's always been that sort of element going on in this tier historically. Last Recall was another one. But the one league, I think, like Fairy's Flight got a lot of traction. It was like the dominant pick, and it was just because it opened up a huge amount of tellies that you just never have access to. Like, people started off going, oh, Fairy's Flight's nice. I'll have access to do my farm runs faster. And then they started doing clues, and they're like, wait, I can teleport to the Draenor Manor now. That's really good. There's a lot of other stuff that opens up. And I think this takes that and dials up to 11, where, like, this is going to take a little bit of big brain plays. This is going to take someone going, I know where all the shortcuts are in play, and they're going to create cool methods. But this, like, absolutely has a ton of universal applications. That said, I think Evil Eye is really strong in the wilderness. Map of Alacrity doesn't have a lot of wilderness benefits because the shortcuts are just in a bit too awkward places. And I think the Eye has a ton of use in Mauritania, especially if you're trying to farm, like, you know, a ton of Darok axes for some memes with blind bag. You know, you might want to make sure you can complete your Barrows runs as fast as possible.
Or Nightmare, for that matter.
Or Nightmare, yeah. So there's a lot of benefit depending on your zones. I think just look at your zones, look at your teleports, and see what you can cook. But you probably can't go wrong with Evil Eye as like a safe pick. It's just nice getting to some bosses. I will say though, and now you've all seen the Demonic Pacts, this is much of a spoiler. If you're never having to leave a boss, which I could see some builds where I'm never leaving a boss, who cares about how quick you can get back there? You did your 300 kill count. You had your minion loot it all. You know, jumping ahead to later relics. It's all noted. How did it matter how quickly you got to your boss? You know, so there's other things to consider.
Yeah, Evil Eye versus Map here, like Map synergizes really well with a couple zones if you don't have another solve. Like if you're going to take Soul Harvest later on for the rune crafting benefits where you could just sit at a altar, great. But if you're not going to take that and you have Mortania, you can map of Alacrity, I think, right next to the True Blood altar. So like there are some locations like that where even though the Evil Eye gets you a teleport to the Bearer's chest, if you don't have a rune crafting solve and you need to speed up that kill, like there's some big plays there, right? Some zones don't really have a lot of bosses. Kandarin's not really great with bosses, so maybe you don't want Evil Eye, but Kandarin has a lot of clue steps, so Map could get you around to a lot of the different clue locations a little bit quicker. I don't know. This is a tough one. I just hope it's not up against what's the jewelry relic from the past leagues? The one where like Sicknerd high out his like Ring of Wealth and couldn't have his ring teleports anymore. Like as long as it's not up against that, either one of these is a pretty good choice. I just wouldn't, pick whatever that is.
For me, what ultimately kind of got me on the map of Alacrity was how many dungeons have shortcuts, how much underground shortcuts there are as well. Because when you actually just look at like, the map, the overworld, it doesn't look that good. But then you start, you see that there's Rev Caves has an agility shortcut. The Wildy Slayer dungeon has one. And a lot of the bosses also have a shortcut that are right next to it. Like Saradomin has a shortcut right there. Kriara has a shortcut right there. Hydra has a shortcut right there. And, I started thinking, I'm like, okay, well, if I get the agility level, then this is kind of like Evil Eye and then some too. So I don't know. I just think map is really good. And every time I find something that will save me like 5 seconds, I'm going to feel so smart when I use it. So that's why I love this relic.
Yeah.
I do think it... Oh, sorry. You go on.
No, go for it, Faux.
Okay, so I think there's one thing to note with map is you do need that agility level, like you mentioned, DoubleShine. And that might be an issue for some different locations, like because you got to take care of that grind early. So that's a potential issue of map that I think some people might not consider. They're gonna like end up telling you to a location and like, oh, I can't go to the other side of this, and that's like where the benefit is, right? So a bit of an issue potentially there.
Well, guys, I was going to say, what if you had the third option to consider? What if we just showed you what that third option was right now?
Okay, I'm going to jump in before anyone else says anything here. Can I just say you guys have absolutely cooked when it comes to like the animations of these teleports? Like this is, I might want to pick that just for the animation and stuff. That was badass. Sorry, can I say badass?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I agree though. The art team in general has just cooked this league like big time. So props to all of them that worked on it. But yeah, Bank Heist. It's back. So you get the banker's briefcase and you can teleport to any deposit box, bank, or bank chest. So how is everyone feeling now we know the third of the teleport relics?
I really like Bank Heist, I will say. I still think I might lean map because I want to try it's got a lot more diverse, like versatile options. But I think people who played Gridmaster suddenly realized how good Bank was and how convenient it was. Like it was your go-to telly for all of Gridmasters. But oh, I'm gonna go here, I've got a bank here, oh, there's a bank there, a bank there. And I think it kind of just got skipped over the league it was introduced just because, Clue Compass was beyond broken. I think now we have 3 teleport relics that are truly, for the most part, just teleport relics. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that between this and map, it comes down to this is safe global kind of teleports, and the map is like spicy, like global teleports, a bit out there.
Definitely. I think there are some regions where Bank Heist actually moves you around that area quicker than other teleport relics. I mean, if you take Zaya, for example, there's a bank in every house. So not having to go out of your way to get like a Xeric's Talisman is quite nice early on. And like you said, Husky, it's a safe pick. My only gripe, if I can say this, is that Bank Heist has a tendency to get to that point where you've already made jewelry, where you maybe have those, you know, teleport spells unlocked in the spell book, where it kind of does start to fall off a bit, where like Evil Eye and Alacrity and the big brain plays come in. But Bank Heist is always safe. At least that's how I feel about Bank Heist. I think it's always safe, and it's particularly good for some of those places where there are deposit boxes, but not necessarily a bank nearby as well. You've got to kind of think about those areas where, you know, there's no bank nearby, but actually this gets you to quite a remote location.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of this as, oh, good, this is my way to get to a bank easy. They all have ways to get to a bank easy. Look at this as where the banks are on the map and what content is near those banks. That's a much better way to evaluate Bank Heist, in my opinion.
There's also just way more banks and deposit boxes than there are bosses. So you're getting like, I don't know, probably like 5 times more useful teleports. And I think, you know, going into tier 3, you don't really have that many good teleport options to get around. And I like compared to Evil Eye, which might be more useful later on, I think this is going to get immediate value. It's super easy to use. Like you guys already mentioned, like people kind of know where banks are. Those aren't hard to figure out. You don't need to be staring at a map of agility shortcuts to know how to get around. And that's like already a really good piece of the relic, is just how easy it is to use.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be a clue doer, map's going to be probably your play. I think the problem with the map is you might experience like menu fatigue. There's going to be so many different things. You're not going to be able to like glance at it and be like, okay, I need to go exactly to this location. You need to kind of like solve it and find like, okay, which teleport is this actually? And people might cycle through 3 teleports until they find the one that they're looking for with the map. Bank is familiar. Bank, you know, people are used to it. We've used it in Gridmaster. Like it's a safe one, like you said. I still think Eye is probably going to be the one that most people end up picking, just because like people want to tele the boss. If you have like a pool in your house, you can pool in your house and then tele straight back to the boss. You know, we've theorized about a potential CG tech with resetting cooldowns. Like there's a lot of use cases for Eye still, and most of those bosses need like 300-ish KC, so there could be some big plays there.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I'm glad we got at least one reveal today, which is great. So we can move on now, I think, to tier 4, which has got some of the, in my opinion, some of the coolest relics in the whole league. Let's start off with Transmutation, which basically gives you these 2 dope spells, which replace your alchemy spells. They let you upgrade or downgrade loads of different things, from ores, seeds, you name it. There's a bunch of them. The full list is in the news post. I couldn't fit it in this image because it is too big. It is pretty cracked, I'm not gonna lie. There's not much more to say on this. I mean, there is, but I'm not gonna bore you with all the details, because there's also conniving clues. We were talking about clue hunters earlier. This is probably the one for you, where you have you stack your clues up quite nicely, and then you also have a chance of getting, what's it called, a clue contract. That's it, I got it. Which can be consumed and teleport you to your current step, which is pretty dope. And it's got a bunch of other effects as well. That's just, if you're going to pick clues, this is probably a pretty good one to pick out of this tier, I'm not going to lie. Or reload into it. Either way, like you're onto a pretty good start. And then finally, probably another dad-based build, Butler's Bell. Here you can summon a demonic butler. He's had a little upgrade this year, and he can not only gather resources for you, but he can process them. And the coolest thing about this is he can do it while you're offline, which is something we've not really done before in terms of like relics and that. So how is everyone feeling about tier 4?
This tier is crazy. This tier is absolutely crazy. Like, I feel like this is the tier right in the middle of all of our relics, where people are right, it's make or break now. How am I solving the rest of these skills? And I mean, I could sit here and talk about transmutation for half an hour. I put a video out saying how transmutation is like it's the biggest brain relic if you know how to use it. And then, you know, a little bit of backlash on that, because I think a lot of people made some good points that actually there's some big brain plays behind Butler's Bell, solving so many skills. particularly if you are someone that is going to play the league for a long amount of time and you can wait for those resources to gather up. I totally underestimated it. I underestimated this tier massively, and I know that Double and Faux are kind of like point chasers, so they might even be looking at clues the same way. But I'm big on Transmute and Butler's Bell personally. I love this tier. I think it's amazing.
I feel like I saw Transmute, and that was just my favorite relic ever announced. It's so cool. It has so many different uses. And, you know, I've been thinking for a while, like, what is Endless Harvest going to do with 10,000 iron ore and 10,000 teak logs? Well, it turns out you can transmute it into the highest resource possible. So that's pretty convenient, huh? And, you know, I was thinking like Barbarian Gathering. I'm going to need that to get my magic logs. Nope, I'm just going to transmute regular logs. And now I have everything I need. So I love Transmute. It's so cool. I kind of wish that it wasn't against the other two, because the other two I'm not even considering anymore, because I just am locked in on Transmute. I don't care. I'll find a way to make it good.
Yeah, I'm in a tough spot because I want to point cap, and I think the way to point cap is taking clue. And I'm ready for you guys to make clue a passive benefit of the league next time. You should do that, because it's annoying that I need to go for 750 collection logs and like 400 of them are going to be clue steps. Because now I feel like I can't take this like super extreme Transmuter Butler's Bell, like new relic that's exciting. It's like I want Transmute so much because of the potential of it, and just because of like the uniqueness of it. I've actually considered not going for point max this time, just so I could play with Transmute or play with Butler's Bell. This is one of the hardest tiers for me, and I think I might be down to either trying to find a way to force myself to take Transmute and then reload the conniving clues, or do something else. But this tier is the one that's like holding up all of my decisions right now, and I just cannot decide on it. But next time, make clues passive for that benefit. You want to do it. Trust me.
So I will say, and this is like baby leak without specifics, is like there are less clue tasks than last year. Like specifically, I think the top end of like, I think I stopped you maybe at like either 75 or 100 masters or stuff like that, like instead of 150, or like I know I reduced the numbers below what they were. So like at least from a point capping perspective, I think the grind is less long. But like for the immediate like amount of points that clues can give you when you first start unlocking them, and all the collection log ones, like clues are still going to have that identity. So there is less, but I still think clue. Basically, I think if you're point capping, just have a double check, maybe run some more calculations, that kind of thing. It is going to depend on your other ones, I think. I think Butler's Bell is kind of maybe an answer to that smithing solve for people who didn't pick Hotfoot. I think those bars add up to a lot, and not only do you get it's like 160 XP per bar. It gets you at 16x multiplier because it's 10 times 16, then all that. And then you still get to process all the bars on top of that yourself into more smithing XP. So that's going to be really good. It also acts as a semi-herblore solve with, you know, giving you this like random amount of unfinished potions. You still need the secondaries, but like at least you're getting that and you get some herblore XP. And I think you guys are right. Like the longevity on Butler's Bell, like when you actually do the math, because it works while you're offline, you can just do the math on 10 per minute, 24 hours. How many is this going to be when I log in for XP in the production skills? And then if you've got like maybe some really specific stuff you're targeting, or if you're like, hey, I don't care about him processing them, I just want more resources, he's got the option to do the gathering stuff. He doesn't give you the gathering XP for it, but you'll get more XP because you're processing them, right, yourself. Generally,
I've actually been
XP.
Considering making a second character on day one and just getting to tier 4, picking Butler's Bell, and just seeing how much that guy alone, like what rank is this guy
actually
get
smart.
on his own.
That's so cool. I kind of want to see that.
I like how DoubleShine said he's considering, like he's not already planning to at least have 3 or 4 different characters when it comes to this league. Like, don't kid yourself, bro.
I think there's one more thing to mention, which is maybe a point of interest. With transmutation, you cannot transmute bars, and I think that specific thing is going to keep some people from taking it, and maybe have them consider taking, you know, something like Bell instead.
And I think there's another thing on that as well, Faux, that I made the mistake of thinking that transmute would work as a very like comfortable runecraft solve, is that going all the way back to pure essence becomes noted. And that tripped me up massively. I really thought this was like the key to everything. And unfortunately, there are still a few gaps there. But yeah, I think those 2 points are really good to make.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in there still, though. It can act as Transmute can act as a GP solve. I think people have said that while gems are capped to Dragonstone, Dragonstones still sell for a lot, or if you want to produce them, they still alch for a good amount. So there's some good money you can make there. The backwards into Pure Essence is like a cool tech where you just buy a ton of air runes and you can at least like passively get it. I think last time people really underestimated Golden God. Like I felt like I was preaching Golden God the entire reveal season, being like, this thing's cracked because it's 0 time. People were like, it's a worse fire sale. But it solved magic. Like, and I know that as someone who didn't pick Golden God and ended up point capping, I got to a point in the league because I didn't have magic where I was like, I need to get like this extra 37 mil from somehow. And I was just sat there spamming Cure Other while getting venomed by Araxites because that was just my best magic training, right? Like that, you get to that, but just the ability to just say, my magic will be 200 mil at some point, you know, and that will tick off that 200 mil combat skill. And I know Gem Crab's a thing this league for people who want to AFK, but that still takes time. That's still like 10 hours, 20 hours gem crabbing, whatever that ends up being to do that with your, you know, whatever spell gives the most damage. This is just, I got it while doing other stuff, you know, and I think that's super valuable in the league.
And I think that's what most league players are looking for. Like magic can be a 0 time skill because you can, you know, alch or whatever else while you're doing other things. But people aren't looking for a 0 time skill. They're looking for a 0 effort skill. And that's what transmute is. You start it. And as long as you have enough resources, you're going to 0 effort, 0 time, all the way to 200 mil, right? If you run out of resources, you could just put something in reverse and go the other way. You know what I mean? The thing is, it doesn't auto alch though, right? This is auto transmute, but not auto alch with this relic.
That's correct. You can still alch though. It replaces your alchemy spells, but there is a toggle for you to go back. So if you did want to just alch a bunch of stuff that you made, you can do it, but you'll have to do it manually.
Oh, and I know one people when they saw transmute, they thought it would be like a 10-to-1 thing. No, I think it's 10-to-10, right? So you're getting 12,000 resources like moved over per hour, right? That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, you could have a stack. You could have like a stack of noted logs, turn them into a stack of noted oak logs, like 100 logs into 100 oak logs, then 100 oak logs into 100 willow logs, and keep going till you get them to redwood logs. It's worth noting that for the purpose of tasks, there's like a pretty hard rule this league of if, for example, there's like a Fletch, I think in previous leagues there was like a Fletch arrow shafts from redwood logs or something like that task. If you don't have Zaya, you cannot complete that task even if you have redwood logs. I don't think we could have a league like Transmute in this league without that rule being enforced. So I think if you are thinking about this skirting around the edges and saying, ooh, I can complete tasks in areas I'm not supposed to, you literally cannot complete a task in Zaya unless you've got Zaya unlocked. That's kind of how the task list works. Because otherwise it would just be pick transmute and that's the way to point cap. But the goal of this league is that every area has the same number of points available, so all the point caps will be the same as long as you've got one raid. I'm not going to get into all of that on the live stream because I know we've got other stuff we want to talk about, but there's like information about that in the blog. If people who are interested in point capping, there's like a whole list of requirements that you need to meet in order to point cap.
Yeah, go check it out if you are point capping. It's very handy information. Right, let's move on to tier 5 next. And first up, we've got Nature's Accord, which gives you, you don't have to worry about requirements. You can plant whatever you like straight away, which is pretty cracked. And plants don't die, and you get 10 times the yield from all farming patches, automatically noted. So we put the leprechaun out of a job there, so sorry, mate. Alongside that, as just a bonus, because why not, you also get the fairy mushroom, which lets you teleport to fairy rings, spirit trees, and tall leprechauns. So you weren't just picking between 3 teleports this league. You've actually got technically four choices, which is pretty cool. And then last on this, for all those fiefs out there, you will gain 100% success rates, automatically re-pickpocket and re-steal from stalls. Guards won't catch you. You just basically become invisible. It's pretty cool. And I think probably the biggest thing for this is while you're thieving, your loot is increased by 10 times, which is the big one, I think, that changes it from the previous thieving relic in older leagues. And then finally, a brand new one, Soul Harvest, which is when you are harvesting any farming crop or when NPCs drop bones or ashes, you instead get soul shards, and they can be used for in place of pure essence or at the libation bowl for prayer XP, which is pretty cool. So where's everyone standing on tier 5?
So I want to clarify one thing actually on Soul Harvest, and because I think I need to give the description to the League's Discord again, because I've noticed the amount of ambiguity And the amount of digging we've done with that one line on Soul Harvest to actually process what it means and realize its ambiguity. So that 1 shard per 4 XP is like, how would I put it? Like, it doesn't take into account XP multipliers from like Nature's Accord and the League. So if you're getting, the way it will work, for example, is let's say you check health on a redwood tree and you get like 360k farming XP. You're gonna get, you know, you're gonna get like that base 22k divided by 4 in soul shards, but then when you turn them into essence, you're gonna get the 16x XP there. Basically, it's not gonna be like a 16 squared multiplier, which is kind of, I think, what a lot of people were jumping to. Because otherwise, it's basically like, what would have happened is you would have like harvested a redwood tree and got like 6.5 million in Runecraft or Prayer. It's not that levels of like insane. It is, you're going to get like your 360k XP or something from a redwood tree, and then that will be 450k Runecraft or Prayer. So like, it basically ties your Runecraft or Prayer to your farming and comes out at generally a net positive. That XP for Runecraft is generally going to be like, the way you think about it is it's like essence per rune divided by 4 times 16. So if you're getting like 8 essence, it's like 8 divided by 4 times 16 on your, it's kind of weird. I'm doing math, but that's how we want to clarify it, and that's what that description is going to be updated to. It's still
Can we clarify
pretty
if it works with trees? Because we were under the
It
understanding that it doesn't because it didn't say harvest.
Yeah, it does. There's descriptions being changed there. It will work for like check health trees. It'll work for harvesting crops, harvesting herbs, all that kind of stuff. So it's like better in that front because it's generally just tied to your farming XP, if that makes sense, like your farming gains.
Yeah.
But like it's not going to be like, because otherwise you would get like, it took like literally today for me to wrap my head around what people were asking about with this, because it was so clear to me, but obviously you don't see how people interpreted it. But otherwise, like if it gave you like 16 times farming XP, then give you that many soul shards, you'd be getting another 16 times on the other end of Runecraft. So at like max XP multiplier. So that's my kind of, I just want to get that out of the way before the discussion comes. It's still insane for Runecraft and Prayer. You're going to get so many soul shards from like combat and stuff as well. And basically, like the way this reads is for people who don't have Nature's Accord, you finish 50 mil farming, you're more or less going to be finished 50 mil Runecraft and Prayer as well, right? It's just, you're going to need, they'll be kind of tied, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll jump in. This is it's a fun tier, and it's another one of those tiers that kind of like works well with certain zones, right? Like Larcenous with Tyranwin means you get Unreal 200 mil thieving like it's nothing, and you also solve smithing and crafting with that, right? There's also the clue benefit. If you don't take conniving clues and you have Kandarin, you can thieve from different NPCs to get easy, medium, hard, and elite clues at a 10x rate, right? So like when you do successfully pickpocket them, you get 10 of them. I think that's how Bodhi's solving his clue issue with Zaya. And then Soul Harvest, you don't have to have a different rune crafting fix. And it kind of works well with Minion later on that auto loots for you, because all of the bones, all of the ashes, anything that you're AFKing, Minion's going to auto loot. That's going to turn it into soul shards if you have that, you know, benefit. And it works pretty well with that. I like that it solves rune crafting with farming, because runecrafting doesn't have a lot of great solves this league if we don't get Banker's Note. Now, maybe there's Banker's Note out there in one of the, you know, 3 things that hasn't been revealed, but if we don't have Banker's Note, you have a lot of running or teleporting with map to get to a runecrafting altar, and that's a slow skill. So I feel like that's going to end up forcing my pick to Soul Harvest, but again, it's just like it's a very zone dependent, you know, tier. If you have Zaya, you kind of might want to consider Nature's Accord because of how fast Tithe is, right? Isn't that like, you know, several hours you're 200 mil farming from Tithe Farm because of the 10x?
Yeah,
It's like
speaking of
5
like
hours.
ridiculously, yeah, speaking of like these ridiculously fast rates, like if you're going to be doing your farming runs anyways to train your farming, you're going to be collecting all those soul shards. And you know, I feel like people always joke that Banker's Note is the rune crafting relic. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this process is like 250 essence all at once, and you essentially can have an infinite amount of essence, right? So my guess is you're going to be getting like 100 mil rune crafting per hour or something with this, right? Once you've actually collected
it's
all
more.
of them. Okay, it's more. All right, well, there you go.
It's more at nature runes. I was doing some testing with it today, and I think like when I was making the nature runes at 250 time, it was like 16x XP was 18k runecraft drops, just spam clicking every tick. So I think the RC++ XP tracker caps out at like 99.999 million, and it hit that, and because I was doing it every ticket, it was just staying there. So like, yes, this is basically like when you do your runecraft grind, it's done, but you're going to need to do your farm runs to build that stockpile up. You're going to need to build up on combat. It's not going to be like I think the way people were interpreting it is you do like 2 farm runs and you get to 99, but like it's still kind of insane. Like 1 pick of a snake grass plant gives you like 3k runecraft XP in natures. If you think about it that way, like, you know, a snake grass plant tends to have a lot of picks to it, right? So you stockpile that over time, you try and solve seeds with maybe some other relics or region picks, and the thing goes nuts.
Yeah, I like Soul Harvest. I think that's going to end up being my pick.
Can I play devil's advocate on Soul Harvest slightly? Just to kind of shake things up for no
please.
good reason, unfortunately. I think it is also kind of region dependent, because if you have certain regions with really high rune crafting tasks, let's say you've got Kandarin, which you get the Wrath Altar for, right? There's probably a very good case for something like Soul Harvest. There's those regions where you're going to get more point benefit for actually doing rune crafting. But otherwise, and Husky, you might just shoot me down here, I think for some people who maybe look at this and think this is a must pick, you know, it might also be a little bit region dependent based on how many points and tasks are actually behind rune crafting. And you may find that there's actually less value in picking this based on that. And then for prayer, as the same kind of argument, you know, ruinous powers, as far as we're aware, they may come back in a reveal we haven't seen yet. But as far as we're aware, they're not coming back this league. So your prayer kind of caps out at that rigor augury mark. So again, you're just going for points and tasks beyond that. So if you're going for like a competitive leagues run, this looks fantastic. This looks amazing.
Well,
but otherwise,
sorry,
yeah, go for it. Go for it. Double,
like,
jump in.
One thing for me is I was looking at my relics and I realized I don't have Forager, I don't have Nature's Accord, and I don't have Butler's Bell. Like, how am I getting my Herblore past level 10? I don't even know if I can get to level 60 for Mixology at this point. So, you know, I listen, I love Larcenous, I love Soul Harvest, but the back of my mind, that like Herblore is still bugging me a lot. And I think Nature's Accord does help that. And that's probably going to be more useful for like most people.
Herblore is going to be one of the hardest skills to solve. And I think if you're going to 99s, if you're trying to get a max cape, or specifically if you're trying to get 50 mil, you have to have some relic like Nature's or like Friendly Forger or Butler that is going to solve Herblore. And transmuting or Woodsman to seeds is not necessarily the Herblore solve, because you still have to do all of the farming runs. And though they're increased, without something that 10x's the loot from your farming runs, that takes a very long time. Bosses aren't going to drop as many as you think they are. Do the math on them. And if you're doing some raids, you have a high purple rate, which means not a high like white chest rate. If you're doing hard mode TOB, you don't get any herbs from that if you're getting purples every time. So you like don't rely on bosses for the Herblore. But you make a good point, Scritic. I think I like Soul Harvest because I'm looking at doing 50 mil in all skill. And if I wasn't doing that, there's not a ton of points behind prayer. There's not a ton of points behind rune crafting. You might want to look at something that's different that gives you more points if you're only playing the league to 20 or 30k points or dragon tier.
Absolutely. Like, and I think at that point, something like, ooh, I'm picking Tyranwin, Larcenist just turns Enhanced Seeds at like to 11, right? So I just, like, I'll get so many points, get so far through the relics, achieve my goals quicker, get into raids. That could be a route into that, especially if you're going to pick Tyranwin only and turbo charge your like smithing and crafting, just because you'll get those 99s really quickly. Soul Harvest doesn't do that because you need the input, you need the seeds. And then on the other side of that, Nature's Accord, like, again, like, could just be really good for just getting your potions and Herblore solved, because like I don't know you guys, but I kind of want to have my super combats and range pots before I get into raids to more points than the other people, at least. Like, I know, like especially if you're doing chambers and you know you want to have a few more points to have your chance at purple, right? So
I don't know. We might get Banana Brew, right? Like, if we got that, like, we just need one of those potions, you know?
Big shout out to Banana Brew. Let's go, Faux.
We'll see. We'll see.
Can I just say one more thing on Larcenous, Husky? Because you clarified this the other day, and I think it's just one more point for people considering it. If you're an Asgarnia picker, Rogue's outfit turns that 10 times into a 20 times. And that is crazy, right? I know that a lot of... Go for it. Go for it.
It ends up being a money solve if you don't have abundance. If you have something like Elf, because I think 200 mil without the 20x gets you something like 150 mil GP. Like elves are a ton of money at 10x rate. Yeah. So consider that if you don't have any sort of money solve, like if you're in Tyranwin and you need to get like the Elf Crown, if that's a task for like what, 250, 200 mil, like Larcenous does also double dip on that as well.
Yeah, and I will say, because I saw chat say, because obviously we talked about it, I just want to hard clarify, it does 10x clues. there was on the reveal, it said it didn't. Someone in the Discord asked me to check, and in game it did, and it turned out after speaking to the designer, it was just we hadn't updated the description, right? So it does 10x clues. I think the conniving clue one doesn't boost the rate of them, but like if you're AFKing that hard, like I can't stress how AFK larcenist is pickpocketing. It's so insane. Like you're going to like 280 coin pouches, I think, because it 10x's the limit, and then anything that has a drop table that's not coins is not one of those 280. And they're noted, so you're just sitting there like you know, let's say like you have a 1 in 4 chance to hit coins, so suddenly you're there for like, you know, 1,200 pickpockets almost. Like that's so much AFK time you still get with larcenists. So, and then not to mention like the gem stalls, for example, for gems. I know people are saying, hey, like I'll just sit in a gem shop, but yep, you got to buy them all, and then you got to sit there and craft them. It's going to be so nice to just have them all in your bank already, you know. I think larcenist, just as a way to get extra resources, it kind of like does what I think people always wanted thieving to do, is like, ooh, I can steal all these things and use them for skilling, but thieving just never really does that in the game. So
You can get all the frog's legs from gnomes that you want. Okay.
you can.
Well said, Scritic. Well said. All right. We'll go on to tier 6 now. It's quite an in-depth tier 5 discussion, which was really good. But tier 6 has only got 2 reveals so far. This might be a bit of an easier conversation. Grimoire's up first. You get a classic relic, essentially, which is Grimoire. You get to freely swap between all the spell books, acts as a book of the day, and you get access to all prayers and all spells, regardless of your area, quest, or diary requirements, which is pretty cool. And then Culling Spree is a Slayer-specific task. When you're assigned a Slayer task, you get to choose from 3 different options and then pick how many, up to 200, you'd like to do in that. You also get a lot of the older Slayer relic benefits about getting the rune pouch, herb sack, and looting bag for free, and all those unlocks there. Getting all the effects of the Slayer helmet without needing it. And as a bonus, superior Slayer creatures always drop between 1 and 3 elite clues, which is very cool. What's everyone's thoughts on this so far? Obviously, we've got a third one coming at some point, but what are we thinking?
So we're not going to reveal it today. It is coming soon, and it's a banger. So I'm looking forward to the responses for that. I think that I think Grimoire had a lot of people thinking it was just bad. You know, I get them anyway with some of my regions. I think it opens up a lot for people who are looking at elemental demonic packs specifically. There's a lot of those extra nodes that say ancients count, and if you wanted, say, you know, your smoke spells and air synergies to work, or your blood spells and fire spells, and you didn't want to pick desert, Grimoire's a great way to get into that. I think it's just been a very flexible relic. I know that Mauritania pickers who kind of want to do the mage roll stuff, this has been a great way for them to do that, and mage melee has historically been quite a good sort of damage spread for Mauritania. So I think Grimoire gets a lot of value there. On the flip side, obviously, Culling Spree is great for any boss task. You're essentially getting your 15%. Well, it's not quite 15%. It's a bit more for melee, but you know, you're getting your imbued Slayer Helm benefit as far as damage for all of your bossing, which is really cool. I think that's something people slept on a little bit in the reveal. So like, while you're not always on task like last time, all your bosses are just going to be sped up by a lot. And that's like, you got to do like maybe 300 KC at these bosses. So,
you know, one funny thing about the imbued Slayer helmet, that, you know, now that we don't have access to Mistlin, we also don't get access to Soul Wars, which means that not only is like the only way you can get imbues now is through Kandarin. So if you wanted an imbued Slayer helmet, you would need both Kandarin and Mauritania, right? I think that actually makes this really good, that you can still get those effects. And not only do you get the effects of the Slayer helmet, you don't even have to be wearing one. So you could still be wearing like Void, or I was thinking about using like Blood Moon set and still getting the effects of a Slayer helmet like paired on top of that. And that's just like, I don't know. I think these kind of like relics that open up your regions and give you more flexibility are, I love them. I mean, we're not quite in Pacts yet, but I've already seen how cool Ancients are in there. And, you know, I'm almost tempted to grab Grimoire just for that alone. So
that's a good point, though, because both of these, I think you can look at them totally differently now compared to when they were first revealed, because we have all the packs now. You know, the Grimoire itself, I think, is way more attractive now than it was on reveal, because there are those packs that buff your DPS based on how many prayers you have active, or buff the effectiveness of range prayers. So I think Grimoire actually has way more value now than it did like last week. And I hope a lot of other people are seeing it that way, because Now you don't have to feel bad for being like, oh man, I don't want to go Zaya, but Rigor, Augury, you know, like Grimoire has a load of value and it's always a safe pick. And Culling Spree just looks like so much fun. If nothing else, I just want to see the one guy that manages to pull the craziest RNG and spawn like 20 superiors in a row. And I just want to see that. That's going to be so good.
Yeah, this. On you go.
Yeah, I'll go. Culling Spree versus Grimoire. You make a good point with the range prayer pact that increases your range prayers by 30%. That definitely makes Rigor a lot better. Also, the thing that I think brings a lot of attention to Grimoire now that it didn't, 2 days ago when we didn't know the packs, how many of the elemental tree side give you benefits to ancient spells, right? Instead of healing off of water spells, if you put that one pact into ice, where ice spells act as water spells, okay, now maybe you do want ancients with your build so you can AoE, ice barrage and get healing off of everything. That's like the most giga AFK thing you might be able to do. So I didn't like Grimoire at all in this tier until I saw the packs, and now I see kind of how it plays. I still think I take Culling Spree every time, even though I probably won't have desert, so I probably won't have ancients. I think the thing that solved that for me was the ability to spec into mage for like 7 packs and get a 1-tick powered staff. So I don't necessarily think I need the big mage boost of, ancients. I don't think I need augury, though I might go Zaya anyways. I think this is still a Culling Spree play for me, but it balanced it a lot with the packs this time to have Grimoire in there.
What sold me on Culling Spree was the tasks that are like complete 100 Slayer tasks, right? Well, you can just pick 5 mobs and then just blast through 100 Slayer tasks in like a couple hours. Like, that is so crazy to me. And then when you actually do get something that you want to do, like a boss task or like Dust Devils, okay, then you just pick 200 and you sit there for an hour and you just grind away at Slayer.
I'm so sorry, guys, to interrupt. Before we carry on the conversation and jump into the next tier, I've just been told by production that we're experiencing some issues. They just need to check something very quickly. We'll be right back, so please just bear with us.
To go against Reloaded, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Did we get you? Did we get
you?
Oh my god.
It is tier 7. We'd like to welcome to the roster Flow State. This crazy relic takes a bunch of skilling interactions and changes their speed to 2-tick. This includes mining, woodcutting, fishing, cooking, fletching, smelting, crafting, farming, and even, just to throw them in there, some magic and mini-game interactions. Because why the hell not? I just would love to see some exclamation mark turtles in chat, as I can confirm this was the relic designed by the players who won our Gridmaster relic race.
Oh my gosh.
And not only did they design this relic with us, but they also heavily inspired our direction for the whole of tier 8, which is always an extremely fun tier to design. So thank you to those 3 winners. Big shout out to them. Maybe there's a little shout out you'll see at some point soon as well. So yeah, I don't think we really needed to explain what Reloaded is, but just for anyone who has missed it, Reloaded basically lets you pick any relic from a previous tier. But with that, if we could go back to flow state production, because I think there's so much to process here. How's everyone feeling now we've got both tier 7s?
Lost.
This is crazy.
I think if I wasn't on this stream, I'd probably be jumping out of my seat and screaming a little much, because this is, I mean, it's just the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, it seems so broken.
This is so much. Like, it impacts everything. It's, you know, 2-tick transmute on auto, so all of your resources process way faster if you want to change them to a different tier. It affects basically every skill.
Yeah.
But it's against reloaded, and I've been like set for like, you know, how long now that I'm definitely gonna solve my gaps with reloading to something else. Like I'm clueless, man. It's like back to the drawing board with everything.
I remember someone in the Discord asked a while ago, what do you think about the Gridmaster relic? It was like the idea. And I said, I think it might be the most broken relic that we've come out with. And it's like, the thing is you can look at any of these individually and you're like, oh, well, like, you know, this relic does that better. But look at how much this does. It's just so universally impacting to everything. I think this tier is going to come down to, do I want to reload to a very hyper-specific solve on a previous tier, or do I want to just globally make everything better and faster? And I think that that's going to be a hard choice for a lot of people.
It really is. And you know what I love the most about the video is that person chopping the tree with the axe, and then someone comes along and just, you know, one punches it. I mean, the secret option number 3 there, Husky, is it doesn't act as a solve at all, and you double down with Barb gathering into this, and no one gets any resources. That's just hilarious.
Except for the endless harvesters who don't
Except
care
for the
anyways.
endless harvesters, of course.
Yeah, I feel like Endless Harvest with this plus Hotfoot now, like, I mean, you're coming back to like your bank is just loaded with stuff. Like, I don't know. So it's almost hard to process how many different skills this is actually helping you out.
So this was really funny because back when we did the tier 1 reveals, there were some eagle-eyed people who were like, wait, was that a 2-tick fishing drop? Wait, how does that work, Husky? And in my head, I'm like, God, did they shoot that footage with flow state? And I can't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh man,
this has been the most exciting. I cannot wait, and I'm so glad we waited so long to reveal this one, because I feel like tier 7, especially in the last few leagues, have always shifted everything. And that's why there's only been 2 options, because they are so impactful. And like, especially with Reloaded being moved to tier 7 and open, like Faux said, open up all those options, and now we've just gone, yeah, but what if, and giving you a whole bunch of other stuff to look at, which is crazy. So
I think Reloaded might still be more picked, because I think when you look at the spread on tier 7, it's like 14 choices or something like that, theoretically. And if flow state even just occupies like 25 or 30% of those choices, that's doing a lot out of the rest of the 13 in the competition. But like, I keep looking at this and I'm like, God, I kind of want to reload to solve that, but flow state, I don't know what I'm picking. I still cannot pick this tier 7.
yeah, I would say if you pick this, then your Butler Bell like benefit goes down a little bit, because you can do these things so much faster yourself. Butler doesn't speed up to that, right? Like, this isn't going to speed Butler up to 2 ticks in any way. It can, oh man, dude, there's too much here. There's too much. So this isn't going to like increase everything like 2 ticks faster. It just sets everything to 2 tick, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Man.
You know, I remember one
stacks with
time
some of the
watching
other-
Faux, and he was dropping fish and picking them up and cooking them. And finally, I can do that too, okay? I can be that guy.
I will say though, I will confirm this a little bit. There was a popular theory that it was going to be reloaded against Banker's Note. Banker's Note is not coming back this league. That is a confirmation. So it'll be
Soul
interesting.
Harvest stocks go up.
Soul Harvest stocks go up. I think that we had a lot of problems with Banker's Note. I think we could not think of a single thing it could compete against. It solves far too many things. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. I will say though, as far as I was going to say this before the reveal as a mini sort of leak, tier 6's theme is loosely combat, and let's just say the thing that isn't revealed is a more defensive option. So we'll leave that for things to come out. So yeah. That's a mini leak for that. Tier 8 is going to be a big, fun new toy to play with as well. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So I'm not gonna say anymore.
Speaking of tier 8, let's move on quickly because I should have known this getting 4 yappers in the same room together that we'd completely overrun, and my script has gone to the wall now. So we'll quickly cover tier 8. Minion, we've got summon a little dude. He'll deal damage for you. He's a pretty sweet guy. He can also loot items for you. He's pretty sick. They use, I'm pretty sure Husky, they use the cosmetic overrides of the thralls as the imps, which are really cool. So you get to see them in action before you purchase them. And then we've got Flask of Fervor, which sort of similar to Last Stand, but a more active version of Last Stand, which is really cool, which means that you could, you click this flask and you heal pretty much everything and deal damage at the same time, which is pretty cool. And then if you're quick enough, you actually get that cooldown back pretty quickly as well, which is really cool. So how are we feeling about tier 8?
I love tier 8. I think I'm a big flask enjoyer, and I think it's one of those relics that gives you a great degree of freedom compared to something like Undying Retribution, because I think it's a bit closer to Undying Retribution than Last Stand, but like the degree of freedom you get this year is crazy because you don't even have to use this as a defensive relic. I think a lot of people look at this and think like, this is going to save my life, but actually this is a really strong offensive relic. You can use it for the damage based on your prayer. You can use it to skip certain mechanics in a boss fight. Let's say you're in like a scaled up Tombs of a Massacre, you've got Insanity on, the skulls are about to go and you've messed up, you can just skip that. So I think Flask has a lot of flexibility that a lot of people are going to find more fun. And then my quick thoughts, because I know that Faux and DoubleShine are big Minion enjoyers, but my quick thoughts on Minion are that a lot of people call it an unc or dad relic, but I couldn't disagree more. I think that the numbers speak for themselves, and it's so much fun. You can buff your Minion this year.
It's unreal DPS Minion is this time. It's so much stronger. I don't know if I can get this out of you, Husky, but if I can, and I didn't prep you with this question, but it just came to me. Do you know what the quickest you've gotten the flask off of cooldown is with, whatever DPS you have? Because like the cooldown is shorter if you do a ton of DPS, if you're doing a lot of damage splats. Have you gotten it down to a minute 30, do you know?
I've got it down to close to a minute. And I think that shouldn't be a surprise now that the pacts are out. When you look at some of the packs themselves, some builds really benefit from it. For example, I confirmed on the Discord today that the Thorns effect on recoil, but not like Ring of Recoil and Echo Boots, but the Thorns effect does lower the cooldown. And if you're getting 2 hit splats on every creature, like, okay, well, that's 2 ticks every time something hits a 0 on you. You've got a lot of things hitting you. Maybe I'm getting like 2 ticks every time something. If I can get that initial damage splat up to like above 20, so the second one's also hitting 10, because you need to hit at least a 10 to proc it. So like the Thorn stuff works really well with it. Some of the bow stuff works really well with it as well, because if you're not taking damage and you've got that min hit stack up really high, you're never not hitting below a 10. So you're just like firing up this cooldown so quickly. I believe I have to double check. I think echo hits also lower the cooldown as well. So there's lots of things that synergize and do it depending on your build. With a lot of instances of damage. So this thing can have quite a low cooldown. And I remember the discussion when we released this is, they went to Last Stand, and I would say like maybe like objectively as an all-rounder, yeah, this is weaker than Last Stand, but it's definitely, we took the aspects of Last Stand that were offensive and really liked that. I think a lot of people, as the league went on, just procced Last Stand to get a full heal, right? Just to get their health set back up to full. Yep. So this is like, what if we did that for Prayer and Spec? What if we gave people a lot more tools to be offensive with it? As people mentioned, you can dump all your specs, nuke them with another like 177 damage, and then dump your specs again. So that's going to be really good. I think it's definitely a much more offensive-oriented relic than Last Stand ever was. I think, like, because people think about the big number they hit with Last Stand and a dummy. Let's be honest. You had to sink your tick to land on the 255. You probably had a tick of drain. It might have not had a big high roll anyway, So, like, Last Stand had so much variance in the actual amount of DPS it would do, and its biggest benefit was just, like, the was it like 8 seconds or something of immunity, or 6 seconds? So
Except if you're one of the guys that learned what nettles do.
yes. So if Last Stand ever had returned, the nettle thing would be fixed. But I'm kind of glad it existed for Gridmaster. I think it made the speedruns a lot more fun in Gridmaster.
Yeah, and just to add too with the flask, there's also the Tyranwin tech of being able to use the eye or the banker's deposit box telly to get directly to CG, go into Gauntlet, leave Gauntlet, and it resets your flask cooldown. So there's some interesting situations where you can farm bosses, telly directly with eye to a boss, you know, burn your specs, flask, hit them with a ton of damage from the damage that it deals, burn specs again, telly to CG, reset, and then do that again.
You know, it hurts to say this because I think Flask is so cool, but the minion has been growing quite a bit on me. And it's not even because of how much damage it actually does, but it's the fact that it picks up all of your items and notes them. And you can't plug that into a DPS calculator. Like, that's just a quality of life feature that is so good.
Transmutation value, right?
Yeah, well, that's actually what I was thinking of. I'm like, I'm not picking up bones. No way. But if this guy just picks up a couple hundred, like, I have like 1,000 of them, and that all becomes superior dragon bones. I mean, that's a lot of prayer, you know? So I don't know. I think this thing is super cool. Like, yeah, it sounds awesome to teleport to your house and back. I'm just going to AFK bosses and eat food while my minion does all the work. So I like this relic.
And yeah, to answer that couple questions I saw in chat, minion also does work in Gauntlet, and whatever the other tier 8 is also works in Gauntlet. So it's just a thing where it kind of feels bad if content just doesn't let you use your thing. And the thematic there about not working against Yama was just a bit of fun. You know, it's his league. He's giving you these powerful toys. You know, not working against him was just a bit of fun as devs had. So.
Yes, agreed. All right.
Does that mean that there's not a Giga Yama?
You have to wait and see, Faux. You have to wait and see.
All right.
You can try and get some more out of us, but I don't know how much. Cool, right. I'm just going to ask the guests how they feel about extending slightly. It's up to you. We've only got 8 minutes, well, planned 8 minutes left of this stream.
Let's go.
Let's keep going.
I'm fine.
Husky, we good?
I will have a hard cutoff just before 6 hour time. So, yeah, I'll probably need 5 minutes before then.
Awesome. Production, if you can give me a thumbs up in the background, that would be great. Just let me know if you're okay. Just staying a bit longer, that would be fantastic. If not, I will cut it short when we need to. But we were going to ask about everyone's areas and stuff, but we're going to skip that for a bit because I think there's a bigger thing we should talk about.
Can I talk a little bit about the relics actually now that we've gone through what we're going through?
Yeah, let's pull them up. Let's pull them up quickly.
So I know that I think for example this last week has been cracked. I think we definitely saved a lot of the big ones for this week. And as a whole, I think there's been a lot of feedback about the reveal season. You know, things we can definitely move going forward, about levels of hype at different things. But one thing that I saw a lot of players throw around, and it's been like a little nitpick of mine. Even some of the new streamers have said it, and it's one of those things that, well, League is supposed to be fun, so just give us because it's cracked. And I think that's like, it's a good thing at a low level, but like could be taken to extremes really badly. I think one of the things that makes leagues really interesting is the choices, and the goal is to give you a different experience every time. If the bar for every new relic was always it had to level up the one before, it actually runs into a lot of design problems. First of all, like a relic just can't be good enough as a solve for one skill. Imagine where it needs to solve at least 2, 3, 4, and then how fast does it solve them? And it also just limits design space. Like if we reach the theoretical maximum for what a relic does, like I think Overgrown was a really good example where nothing can solve farming better. So now it's like every farming relic ever is compared to Overgrown. So in order to keep choices interesting, we start thinking about, you know, what could Nature's Accord do? How do we pull it back? Let's give it Fairy's Flight. Let's give it this stuff. I think that makes the choices more interesting. I think that just saying it's fun, so it needs to be cracked up to 11, is fine, but like it can't just always be more powerful. And a phrase that I've kind of come to over time is infinite power does not equal infinite fun. I think the thing about a league that's really interesting is getting to that powerful state, the journey, the choices you took, the gradual build of power. It still needs to be accelerated because, you know, it's a short league thing, but that journey is something that's really important and I think feels very old school. So as a whole, I think there was a sentiment early on about like, ooh, they're just doing nerfed relics this time. I think it's hopefully very clear now where this week's going, that we saved some really big ones in the back, you know, that are some potentially even more cracked than other ones. But I think the thing that is way more important to us is that you can go back and say, God, I remember League 6, it had this, and that was really fun. Then I remember Leagues 5, and that was different and did this, and Leagues 4 did this other thing. That should be the goal of the league every time. And I think that fun events like Gridmaster are definitely the ones where we can say what happens when you add gasoline to the fire and just say we don't care about the funny, stupid, silly numbers. So
yeah, when something only takes 1 or 2 days to complete, you can definitely do that. It definitely like presents a really difficult developer problem when you have to like double your strength every single time when you hit a league. So I think the more important thing for you guys to do, which you've done this league, is bring out a relic as strong as it's going to be, but just make sure that the same tier has about the same balance. If you have relics that, you know, aren't going to be, okay, there's 3 relics here, one of them 90% of the players are going to choose it, and then 5 and 5. Like, that's the kind of balance that we don't need. When you have something where like people are clueless which one they're going to choose because they're so even, it doesn't really matter how strong they are and how much they break the game. It makes it a difficult choice and it creates different paths. And you know, that's the kind of thing that makes Trailblazer League work so much, is it creates different paths.
Yeah, and especially with the pacts, like I think it'll be cool to see the gradual amount of power. There's spikes in different builds. I think we're going to move on to talking about pacts next, but I think we want with pacts you to break the game eventually, once you've got like your build sort of finished and you sort of got your big gear. I think it's fun to go into a boss with like worse, like everyone remembers like, what did it feel like when you went into your first Chambers raid with the boys, with one guy's got a rune sim because he was slow behind everyone else, and you've got your rune crossbow, but it's like, I found some myth bolts. And then like you gradually build up that power, right? Like I think it's fun to think all the new powers gave you the ability to do that, but also like if you're at that stage and you're one-shotting all, it's not fun, because what's the point in the future power that I'm trying to aim towards? You know, there needs to be a good progression system, and that's something we're always refining. So
I think a really good example of that actually is Friendly Forager in Tier 2, which, you know, I think a lot of people have been saying is kind of meh this year, but it's just objectively stronger than last year's Friendly Forager.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what does that say about the other Tier 2 relics if they're that much better than it? So pretty cool to see the tiers. I think once you've seen the whole tier, there's so much more to think about, and they kind of weave in, like they weave in between each other a lot too. So your decision, I know my tier 1 decision might actually change now with flow state, so lots to think about.
I think this is weirdly, even though outwardly the theme of this league has been Yama and demons and everything fire, I feel like inwardly the theme of this league has been balance, and not just in terms of power, but just in terms of that like choice, that you have a more balanced choice, and there's not as many, I would say a lot fewer elements of regret, which is something I think every league we try and limit the amount of like relic regret you have, because choices should still matter, but they should come from all of these choices matter. Which one do I think is going to tout above the rest? Which is really cool. And
we like a little bit of relic regret, though, don't we? We like a
little bit. Yeah, of course, we want a little bit, but not too much. You know, isn't it? Balance.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to demonic packs. I feel like let's talk about the. I don't want to say the elephant in the room. It's not. It's bigger than an elephant. It's humongous. Let me scroll down to my bit in the script. So overall, this is the biggest thing. This is what the leagues is named after, of course. This is the demonic packs. We took the combat masteries, for those who are unfamiliar, last league, which was you had 10 points gotten from combat task, and you could spend them on these overall 18 points in 3 different trees of melee, magic, and range. And you know, most people would take 6 in 1, 4, or like a 5-5, or depends how you want to split it. But I know we all felt range was quite busted in combat masteries. Very fun, but a bit broken. And this time we were like, but what if there was more? And we're not talking about like double it. Let's like maybe 5 or 7x it, and then just see what players do with it, because that's really cool. And obviously we've probably alluded, we're heavily inspired by some other titles. So it's only fair we'll do something in sort of similar vein. So I just wanted to run down quickly what people's thoughts are, but before that, I'll just say, if anyone's who missed it, you will have 40 points total to spend. You'll get those points through combat-themed tasks, and there is elements to reset the tree. You will have a total of 3. They will come from your first 3 unique Echo Boss kills. After you have those 3, once you spend them, that is it. It is done. So just bear that in mind. So without further ado, I think we should jump into this fantastic wiki calculator, by the way. The OSRS Wiki cooked on this. Very cool. I have also seen some other like player-made ones, which also have been really, really cool. I think the players have gone overboard this year with the amount of like tooling, which is really cool. But I just want to go through your guys' thoughts of the tree and any favorite builds or potential paths you're going to take. Faux, I think we should start with you after the puzzle tribulations that you had the other day.
Yeah, I'm a melee guy in the league. Almost always my main account is always melee, so that's what I'm drawn to here. And there's a very specific build that I ended up finding yesterday involving Mauritania that I really liked, and that was the people are calling it the like Bluetooth Halley or Bluetooth blind bag. Like basically it's like melee from 7 distance tiles spec deep into the Halley build with your Noxious Halley as your main hand, specking deep into blind bag so you get all of the extra hits. And then there's the ranged echo hits that you get on top of the melee swings, which synergize with the first 3 of the ranged packs, because that like ranged echo, yeah, I don't know if you can find that over there, but on the melee side, in between blind bag and Halley, there's one that gives you a 5% chance to trigger a ranged echo on a melee swing with a 2-handed weapon. And it states that you hit a ranged echo as if you have a bow, crossbow, and thrown weapon equipped. And the unique thing is that "and" word right there, because then if you go down into the ranged tier, the first like when it branches off to crossbows, bows, and thrown, you could take all 3 of those and it benefits your ranged echo on that 2-handed melee swing. As far as I understand it, those all synergize and they all benefit that. So when you do that long range Halley build with blind bag, with those 3, with the ranged echo that can hit 4 times, you just create this like absolute monster of burst damage. And I think that the potential to hit like 300 to 400 plus damage in one swing is just kind of insane to me. Add that to, I don't know if this will synergize, I don't know if this will work, but there's also one where if you, and this is on the bottom left side, when you max hit from at least 3 tiles away, your next hit from a different style hits plus 25% damage. The way that I think that reads is if your 20% chance to throw a ranged echo hits with a max hit, which also is a 20% chance to max hit off of the thrown ranged echo, then your next melee swing with the Noxious Halley is plus 25% damage. Add that to the fact that since you're at max distance, your minimum hit with melee is 21, which means your minimum blind bag hits should also be 21 because of the first melee relic. Like, this just becomes an absolutely cracked build. Oh, and not to mention, you're plus 12% max hit because of the one that's right before the Halley capstone. It's insane. Like, the build is insane. And if that wasn't enough, you can also spec in to a 1-tick staff. So if you have a Sang staff, if you have the Garglon staff from the Grotesque Guardian Echo, you can get that too. And with all of this, I've still only spent 35 points. So I have 5 to put elsewhere. I can unlock this potential before I'm done with all the tasks. It's insane. I love it.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I missed that.
The Garglon staff.
Garglon.
But yeah, I think that the trees have been really fun to design. In general, what you're saying, to clarify that mechanic, yes, that kind of works how you would expect it to work.
It does.
The echo, I have to re-clarify something in the Discord because Halo actually said I was wrong about something. If a melee hit procs an echo, the echo is considered melee damage. If a ranged hit procs it, it's considered range damage. But if the echo max hits, the echo will enable the 25% bonus damage thing on the other one, but for a different style. So you would need to realize you procced it, then like swap to like a crossbow or something, or swap to like magic, consume it, go back to melee. So there's some cool stuff and synergies. But the design philosophy, I really want to shout out Mod Tomb. He's got some time away from work right now for some things in his personal life, some good things, I will say. So he's going to be watching this from the sidelines as we finish this, get this across the line, get it launched. He has been the mastermind for this tree from a design perspective, from everything dealing with the feedback. I might be the public-facing one that comes out and reps it all, and I did a little bit of balancing, but he has been an absolute godsend for this. And one of the big philosophies he had was, we want things to work where they should. Like, if you think it should work, it should. There shouldn't be something where you go, oh, does this work? And it doesn't. Now, obviously, people have asked some really stupid questions, and some of the answers to those stupid questions are, no, of course they don't work. You're reaching a bit with that one. But things like, it's a ranged echo. Does it benefit from picking other things with ranged echoes? Yes, it does. Or if it doesn't, it should be pretty clear from the description. Like, the things that say plus 5% to get echo chance specifies on regenerating. You're not regenerating, you're hitting with a ranged echo on the other side. So in general, we've tried to make everything work as it should. Things like picking up additional regeneration beyond 100% works as you would hope it does, with rolling over for an additional chance and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, the mechanic you kind of went over there is, yes, when melee procs an echo, it counts as a bow, a crossbow, and a thrown weapon, but you only get the perks if you then select those nodes in the range tree, right? So that opens up the idea that if you went into melee and you're kind of lost a little bit, you maxed out your blind bag, you maxed out your halberd, you're kind of thinking, how do I get more power? That node is kind of saying, maybe dabble in a little bit of range stuff. And then maybe that then leads you to go, maybe I have a strong ranged off style. Maybe that's the way I'm going to play the league. Or maybe you just go down far enough to get the buffs and then, as you said, make a mage off style. So, there's been a lot of fun with this. And I think the big challenge is, obviously people have been talking about inspiration from other games that make much more complex trees than we do. In general, this has been a big challenge to say, this is our first talent tree. We want to keep things simple, but we also want to create interesting builds and have cross synergies. If you're new to this and thinking this is very overwhelming, trust me, I was overwhelmed on my first read too, trying to go through and investigate all the nodes. But the capstones should give you a strong idea of what each part of the tree does. If you look at air and follow that line from the middle up until the big air rune, you're looking at buffing air spells. If the one next to it is water spells, then fire spells, then earth spells. Ranged is split in the left path for bows, the middle path is crossbows, and the right one for thrown. And then melee is a little bit of the Wild West, I guess, as far as things. There's a little bit of crossover mixing stuff, but you've got your heavy, slow two-handed weapons on one side. On the kind of middle-ish, you've got some light weapon stuff, and then you've got recoil in the far left of the melee tree. So it's definitely been a design challenge to kind of like help make sure the tree pushes people in a sort of like that direction of, ooh, I'm buffing this and picking that style. But we also still wanted the freedom to jump between a lot of the nodes and trees and experiment with different builds. So yeah.
Just to jump in again, so they've just built out on screen. This is the build that I was talking about with 35 out of 40 points that you see. But this is probably my favorite thing so far, and I'm just going to mention this. 5 scythe does work with blind bag. You can get 6 unique different scythes in the game. If you are that lucky, it literally does work to have a Wind Fury scythe blind bag build, because you can have a charged and uncharged, a charged sanguine and uncharged sanguine, a charged holy and an uncharged holy. You have to get the kits, but that technically does work. And also, blind bag triggers with a Darak axe. It counts if you have the full Darak set. So imagine this. I'm not going to go into it, but imagine this. You have a long range Heli with a Darak axe 100, 75, 50, and 25, and then any other weapon with a full Darak set with low HP. Your Heli hits, it triggers blind bags for a buffed up, increased minimum hit, increased maximum hit Darak axe 4 times. Think about the potential.
You need to be wearing Daraks as well, though, right?
You need to be wearing Daraks.
I love we had those. I think Husky, you had those discussions even not that long ago, just to confirm if it was like doable, and then we were like, "That's pretty cool. Let's just leave it. There's no point. That's a cool idea." I think that's the like Husky was alluding to earlier. It's the sort of like what we want to lean into. This whole like, yeah, break the game later. Why not? Just go for it. Like this is fun and experimental for us. Like hopefully it will be fun and experimental and sort of jump onto what Husky said quickly. If you are looking at this tree and you are overwhelmed, that is absolutely fine. As Husky said, pick a node you think looks cool and work backwards from that. The worst you can do is jump in, make some decisions, get them wrong. You'll have a reset after your first Echo Boss, which is inviolable. So at worst, come to worst, you end up building a build that you're not that happy with. You have a reset there to use it, and then you can either put those points into a streamer build that someone's built a guide around, or you just try something completely different. Like, just go for it. Like, even though there's 130 plus nodes there, just dive straight in. Like, realistically, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, we definitely, when we were doing testing and DPS simulations for all these, we had a range that we wanted all of them to sit in, and there's obviously variance there, right? There could be, like, what happens if I only buff melee as much as I can go is going to feel very different to, like, 20 points in melee and a bit more in range. With most of our balancing, it was like, what happens if I take everything to the, I think we said about 35 points as a maximum and got everything in the same range. We've obviously given it a few more points to players from that. There's probably a few, like, I would say obvious, but I'm going to say them anyway. Like, if you're going full water, there's like you've got 60% lifesteal, so the DPS is going to be a bit lower than some other builds, but you've got 60% lifesteal and 180 HP. Like, you're not dying to this, like, unless you're, like, purposely taking, like, a 6 Jads and getting every prayer wrong and that kind of thing. It takes that level of damage to kill you, right? And even then, like, if you just camp mage and get lucky and heal up in between the range hits, I'm sure you could probably do quite well against 6 Jads. There's Thorn stuff and Din stuff people have been playing around with that is pretty hard to die as well, because Thorns will heal you from a distance. And then if things are hitting, like, zeros on you, you're with the middle neutral thing and you've got a shield, you're getting a ton of free healing and prayer from that as well. I genuinely, with, like, some sort of Thorns Dins build, I think I brute forced 5 Jads with just camping Prey Mage. It took like 5 or 6 attempts. And I brute forced it, no clicking any healing or anything, just going around with a Din's Bulwark, and when healers spawned, I tag them with a shield spec, and I go around. I never got quite to brute forcing 6 Jads, but like at a certain point, I could probably say the player might click some food in their inventory, because I'm just sitting there at like 10 HP being like, please heal me, minions, you know? So there's some absolutely crazy stuff here. I think one of the more fun things about the Din's Thorns build is that because of the 10% chance for a Jad to, like, damage itself, I'd randomly see a Jad behind me spawn its healers because it killed itself almost. And then, like, I still need to tag them. I still need to tag them because, like, the healers are out healing and I'm not doing enough damage with Thorns alone, but that's just really funny. And then imagine throwing that. This was just with the build as well, not throwing in, like, Minion or Flask or anything like that. So, like, some of these builds get really tanky with, like, a lot of sustain. Some of these builds are more focused. I think some of the fun stuff with, like, the bow stuff is bows actually do some pretty respectable damage, but, like, they're kind of asking the player to be good with their prayers and not taking damage to get that return on them. There's a lot of cool stuff here, and they're all kind of in the same DPS range, and I'm just actually looking forward to seeing how players break it and prove me wrong and find builds that are stronger than what we balance around, because that's part of the fun. This is our first time doing this too. I'm sure we're going to have feedback for, like, if this is a feature people like and we want it in a future league and we think it works, I'm sure there would be iterations. And then again, just on the whole, like, resets and points thing, because I think people have brought that up a lot. We went really generous with the points, kind of just to say, like, if you messed up a couple points, it's not the end of the world. Like, or if you missed out on a couple or a few points, like very much these builds are, like, way online at, like, 20, 25 points, and then you, like, get, like, extra juice going from 30 to 35. There aren't really many builds that need, like, 40 points. I think there's one that I might want to leak that kind of requires about 40 points, and if chat spams enough turtles, maybe I'll leak it in a bit. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here that we wanted to play around with, and in general, like, you're going to be really strong. There's a lot of stuff here. It's really good.
You had mentioned water spells, and that's one of the really interesting things when I was planning my routes was actually just the difference between a more early game, like something that's going to be very strong early. So I figured that with 8 points in, like, water spells and the air spells, you're getting prayer regen and you're getting health regen, and the fight caves are already weak to water. So I'm kind of not sure how I don't clear the fight caves with that build. Like, it feels like there's no way for me to die in there. And yeah, League Starter is going to have a whole, new world this year. So the cool part, though, is respecking. You can come up with these kind of dream 40-point builds, and that's actually the one that's, I think, being shown right now. This is my Dragon Claws Light build that I kind of have been coming up with. where I figured out that the only two-handed weapon in the game that is also less than 1 kilogram, I believe, is the Dragon Claws. So instead of going with basically everything Faux just talked about with the Noxious Halberd, I took every single node in the melee tree that does not have the word heavy on it and does not have the word shield on it. I just picked everything. I grabbed it all. I got special attack. I got Dragon Claws attack 1 tick faster. They have like an extra hit. They scale off of your prayer bonus. Basically everything I could find. And they still have halberd range too, because why not, right? We could scratch from far away. Okay, but that's not enough. We got more points to spend. Okay, so I decided to run through the bows build. And okay, well, what if I get bored and I pick up a twisted bow as well? All right, well, now I have a bow build. And I got a couple more points left. And it turns out that I can also grab powered staves up in the magic tree as well. And now my shadow is 2 ticks for like 6 points. Yeah, so this is like my dream best case scenario. I'll be living in Chambers of Xeric for like 2 weeks, like it's Twisted Leagues, just farming out a Dragon Claw, getting my shadow, getting my twisted bow. And even if I don't, like it still will scale with like the Hispori Echo weapon. That's a bow, right? So I still get the benefit there. I'm thinking about going Ascarnia. So if I don't get Dragon Claws, I am hoping that the dagger works with the dagger tree. But you know, maybe we get clarification on that. And then yeah, for the powered staves, I've been thinking about going Kandarin, and I mean Trident of the Seas. It's gonna be 1 tick. It's pretty damn good. So I'm very happy with this build. I hope I can pull it off. It's just gonna take a lot of raids.
But that's the interesting thing about the packs, right? Like you don't even need to necessarily focus on your end packed build at the very beginning. Like I think a lot of people look at Varlamore and think, well, I might want melee to do a Moxliator. Maybe it's good for Echo Moxliator. We'll have to wait and find out. And it's definitely good at Perilous Moon. So maybe people actually spend their first 4 or 5 points into melee. Maybe you do magic. Maybe you do the DoubleShine route. But maybe you go melee early and then just later on when you've got more points, you got a respec. So like I think we've all got the flexibility to do it, haven't we? Eventually get to those like aspirational big 40-point builds.
And there's so much still to come as well. You know, Scritic, you're going to be releasing the Echo Weapon video at some point, right? Coming up. And it was a big thing in the league for us to be thinking about. We want Echo Weapons that synergize with this tree. Like, why would we not? You know, so there's going to be some Echo Weapons that are really good with elemental stuff. There's going to be some Echo Weapons that are really good with, like, blind bag stuff. Or, you know, people have seen from the pictures, we've got 1 bow, 1 crossbow, 1 blowpipe. I think, Scritic, do you want to tell them about your favorite build with the King's Barrage or no?
Wait, really? Oh, do we want that? The chat want that?
I don't know. Do they? I don't think they do, guys. I don't.
What's a King's Barrage?
A King's Barrage?
Yeah, what could that be? I don't know. I'm not seeing that many turtles in chat. That's the problem, you know.
I mean, if they don't want it, I'll just go with a generic build instead. I don't mind.
Get on it, guys. Spam it up. Give me some turtles. I gotta hear what this is.
Oh, it's getting that.
I've been asking Scritic for a week. Okay, he's not told me anything.
Okay, Sadi, if you do the build while I talk about this, then. So we're talking about the King's Barrage. Okay, I think this is the one thing we're going to talk about today before the video goes live tomorrow. It's the only glimmer of a leak you're going to get out of me about Echo bosses and Echo items. So the King's Barrage is the dual-headed crossbow that you get from the King Black Dragon in the Wilderness. It is the Wilderness Echo item. It looks incredible and it feels incredible. It is a 2-handed crossbow, so you're not going to be able to use an offhand with it. And it has a really kind of unique mechanic where it fires 2 bolts at once. The first bolt counts as a standard ranged attack. You know, that's going to fire off your dragon bolt enchanted with whatever you want. The second bolt counts as an ice spell, and it freezes your target in place. Luckily, there's a toggle for that. So I know a lot of people are probably thinking like off the bat, oh man, that's going to get annoying. You can toggle the freeze off, which is incredible. But what's really interesting about this weapon in general, and honestly, this goes for all the Echo weapons. What's really interesting is how you can look at this weapon, its description, its stats, its passive effect, and you can immediately hone in on a build on the mastery tree. So I hate to say this when people have spent so long putting together 40-point builds, but they are probably going to change tomorrow because you're going to see some of these echo items and you're going to think, man, I need to build around this. So this on screen, thank you, Sani. This is a build that I have cooked up specifically for the King's Barrage. This might not be optimal to hone in on early. As I just said about DoubleShine's build there, maybe this is something you come back for later, but this is crazy. So the King's Barrage works really well with crossbow masteries. Would you believe it? And what I really like about the crossbow masteries is they really exaggerate the kind of slow but punchy effect of a crossbow. So just imagine for a second, right? You take the mastery that slows the King's Barrage down, but increases its damage by 70%. Okay? You take those crossbow masteries at the bottom there that increase your accuracy and make it always max hit. And I believe I'm right in saying this, Husky, or at least it felt this way when I tried it. That max hit does apply to both bolts, right? Yeah. So that's already incredible. We're going deep into the crossbow tree there. We're also picking up the range mastery that triggers additional echoes, that buffs things like rigor. But then you'll notice that I've got some nodes there into magic. And that's where this gets interesting because the second bolt is an ice spell. So if we go into the magic tree and we convert that ice bolt into water, then all of a sudden you're max hitting with 2 range hits. The ice hit lands and it bounces back a heal to you. Now, I'm not going to go out there and say what kind of numbers I saw when I did get to try this, but I will say you will be impressed by this. And it is made even more crazy by the fact that if you pick up a couple of these overhealing nodes that you'll see we've spec'd into here, you can overheal to about 160 hit points with this thing. And then that increases your range strength even more. So all I'm going to say, the last thing I'm going to say on the King's Barrage, big tactical nuke. That's all I'm going to say. And also healing on the off style. There's even the kind of potential with this build to switch between casting Ice Barrage and your ranged hits because you're getting really slow ranged hits, you know, with the reduction to attack speed, but the increase in max hit. You can use that attack delay, particularly kind of like friendly for people who maybe aren't so good at gear switches, to use that attack delay to switch to magic to benefit from the extra 25% damage on your next hit on a different style. And then you go back to ranged, you get the max hit, you switch to magic, back and forth, or you just camp King's Barrage. Freeze everything, nuke it. It's crazy.
That's 188 HP that you can overheal with that.
Yeah. And everyone was asking, everyone was like, oh, it's so sad range doesn't get access to overhealing. And I'm like, there's a build, there's a King's Barrage build. And like, you know, with that thing having a max hit close to 100, you know, half of that is healing with 60% lifesteal. That it's not consistent healing. You're still quite slow, you know, you get your 2-tick penalty and whatnot. But like, it's a lot of sustained healing. Like that's a lot of stuff.
just for giggles, I did actually test this. It's not quite as effective as the Thorns build for just standing still and AFKing, but there are definitely some bosses that you can just stand at like max range and just, I don't know, go make your dinner. Like it's that good. It's that good.
I don't know if you can answer this. Does the Ice Barrage hit give you a magic XP drop or a ranged XP drop?
Ranged, I believe.
I think it was. Yeah.
I was just hoping that it would like benefit from that plus 25% node, you know, like so you don't have to do anything. It's just like automatic. That's cool.
I believe both parts of the thing count as a ranged hit, but then it just also adds a freeze component to it. And as we said, the freeze can be toggled. So if you would rather, you know, have the boss walk to you, you can do that if freezing is griefing, that kind of stuff. So it's a really cool weapon. I know that people are going to be like, oh, like I'm really sad Kopesh isn't there, you know, really having fun with Kopesh. I think like the more we thought about Kopesh, especially after seeing it like amped up in Gridmaster, it's like almost too good to exist. And I'd rather it just lived on in people's memories as the fun thing rather than just bring it back nerfed and like tarnish its memory. I think like that's the better way to handle something like that. So this thing is equally exciting. It's more tailored to range. It's not as bursty as far as like spec dumping, but it's still like it like hitting consistent near 100s is a pretty fun thing. So yeah. I guess final point from me on the trees as well is I've seen a lot of people talking about like the resets not being enough. And the resets is like, I think this is going to be an ongoing debate through the league. People will see how they feel. You get 4 chances at this, essentially, because you get 3 resets, and they're full tree resets. So even if you went out early, you can still experiment with a build. You can go to another build for a boss that you need as a really bad matchup. I think Asgarnia, like, Whisper is like the standout answer, right? Like, you might get pretty well through God Wars with ranged or melee, but then Whisperer sucks, and you might want to save a reset for Magic to do your Whisperer grind. It's like the one very clear example, and still have chance to go back to whatever you settle as your final build. But just in general, what we didn't want people to do was just feel like they had to respec for every boss, and it's just, oh, what's the best DPS setup for this boss? Cool, copy, plug it all in. People already said that in Shattered Relics. It's not fun to play MenuScape all the time. Then people would ask for presets because they want a build loadout. And I know there's like other things with like partial resets and stuff, but like we basically couldn't find a good solution where it needs to be bad enough that people don't do it, but still there as an option. But then people might just be going through something bad in a league as a long grind and it not being good. So we settled on 4 resets as generally being, we thought, quite generous as far as that. And I do think in a league, like, having choices matter is important. It's something we keep coming back to, where, you know, you're still going to have fun identifying with stuff. And part of the fun of having 40 points is like Faux been doing. It's like, it's not just saying, here's my Turbo Max Giga Melee build because I only care about melee against this boss. It's thinking, how do I squeeze in that 1-tick trident? And do I want ranged as an option for those extra points? I think that's where a lot of the fun in creating builds for your areas comes in. And just saying, oh yeah, you get like infinite resets. You literally just won't have these fun builds. You'll have like, here's my only melee build, here's my only range build, here's my only magic build. So yeah, that's kind of the explanation for that. But we expect feedback on that as the league goes on and to see what people think.
A limited number of resets is a good idea. Decisions should matter in a league. Relic regret's always a thing, but I mean, some people are going to hate that I say this, but you could always make a second alt account, put Endless Harvest and Butler on it, and just let it go to work while you're doing your main account, right? If you're really worried about that. But decisions should matter. Shattered Relic, the main feedback was it was too flexible. You could just change to whatever the best was for everything, and people didn't enjoy that as much. So I think this is the right way to do it. With the resets, there's actually a lot of strategy that goes into it, because your first route might not have anything to do with what your final build ends up looking like, just so you can get to, you know, buffing up Echo Amox or buffing up, you know, Echo CG or even CG in general, so you can get a 1-tick staff in CG. Like, there's a lot of logic that goes to it. So I like it. As long as you guys don't charge for an extra reset, this is the right way to do it.
I think that's definitely like something that a lot of people should consider, is having something a bit earlier, because I remember like back in Leagues 4, everybody built around the Tumikin Shadow, right? Well, until you get that Tumikin Shadow, you're not really having a good time. Now, if you do go to TOA and you do hit your Shadow, then by all means, you should consider just grabbing all the magic nodes, right? I think that kind of like flexibility is really cool. And I'm excited to see what the early game routes look like compared to those fully fleshed out 40-point, like everything is just locked in and optimized.
Husky, I'm gonna have to interject because your raid boys are spamming the chat now. They've dinged the bell for 5 minutes to go. So
yeah.
So
I have another commitment.
yes. He's needed elsewhere, so we're going to wrap up. This has been a fantastic stream, honestly. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's appeared on the stream. Thank you all so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. Secondly, shout out to the production staff, especially Mod Rach. She's smashed it behind the scenes. I was not the one doing all the Pact work. That was Rach behind the scenes. So big shout out to her. And then all of you lot that's interacted with us over the past weeks, whether that's within the League specific Discord, whether that's on various socials, within live streams, or just sitting here with us today. It's been honestly such a fun League's pre-reveal season, maybe my most fun. I'm really, really chuffed with it, honestly. And if you're sitting here after everything that's been going on and you're worried you're not going to be efficient enough, or you're not going to be the best, you're not going to get the best experience because you're not as clued up with game, whatever. Leagues is about having a bloody good time. So whatever route you pick, I'm sure you will have a blast. So just go in and have a bloody good time. All right, that's all I can stress to you. That is the best advice. Go in. With that being said, ! Leads. Check out the news post. I will update it after this. !Pacts. Check out the demonic Pacts. It will be great. !Wiki for the wiki calculator. They've done a fantastic job putting that together. You can see it on screen. !Brazil. We've got Brazil Worlds now. It's bloody awesome. We're hopefully slowly going to start branching out even more in the future, but this is the first step, which is great. And then finally, if you're a mobile player, mobile character switcher is here. You can chop and change between your accounts without needing to re-log in, which is fantastic. With that being said, thank you to all our guests again. Thank you to all watching. We're going to throw you over to someone who's not streaming Old School, which is a first for us. Zizaran, a Path of Exile creator, is running a brutal, hardcore event called the Gauntlet, and it is sponsored by League 6 Demonic Pacts. Obviously, we've taken some inspiration from PoE over the course of leagues gone by, and Demonic Pacts wears that on its sleeve very proudly. So please go and say hello. Maybe pick up some words of wisdom to help put together your build. Make sure you type in OSRS login in the chat and spread the love to the community that grinds almost as hard as all of you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in game on Wednesday to let the chaos begin.
Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks.